Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, Dr. Daniels, this is the Wisdom Table, and we're getting right into the subject matter that I wanted you to cover, and that is this past Sunday, 2 days ago, your show was on be a consumer, not a patient when dealing with the medical industry. So give us a capsule, the key points, and we'll go from there.
Well, presently, people are considered to be patients when they encounter the medical industrial complex. And so a patient is somebody who does not receive information, who does not pay their bill, who does not have a choice in what they receive. And this has led to a situation which is very dangerous, which is that the medical industrial complex can recommend things that are deadly. The patient can die, and everybody gets paid after the fact by the insurance company. And so by becoming a consumer, the individual actually creates a situation where their health care is much more safe, and they have a better quality of life and a better experience. In order to understand this, you have to realize that the medical industrial complex, receiving medical care in and of itself, is the third leading cause of death in the United States. So, since receiving medical care is the third leading cause of death in the United States, it's difficult to argue that it is in any way desirable or necessary. So, just as you would for a trip to the casino or going to the mall to buy a pair of pants, you should pay cash. And what this means when you pay cash is the doctor or the industry has your attention. Right now, because the doctor is paid by the insurance company, he has to do what they say. Because he has privileges at the hospital, he has to do what the hospital says. Because he has a license, he has to do what the licensing board says. And because the drug companies write a lot of rules, he has to do what they say. So when you come to see your doctor literally has to take a look at these 5 different sets of rules or constraints and do something that satisfies all 5 of them, not anything that satisfies you as a patient. And this is why medicine and medical care is so dangerous, also because of insurance. Because of insurance, the doctor or hospital can provide care that is deadly. The person dies, and all the providers need to do is submit paperwork to the insurance company to get paid. So by becoming a consumer, there is no payment beyond your death, which means that doctors will not provide care that in the past has become, or they know has resulted in death. Now, even more importantly is what do you call the physician? And so there's a move afoot to say, well, physicians should be called providers instead of physicians. So as a physician, you're a person who dispenses direction, who dispenses instructions, who gives orders. That's what a physician is. But a provider, well now, a provider will provide something. So now you have a standard. Well, what are you providing? And so, as far as the doctor's concerned, if he gets labeled as a provider, well, provider could be anyone. It could be your spouse, it could be nurse practitioner, it could be physician's assistant, it could be a physician. Or it could be a stranger in the street. So once you use the word provider, now the focus changes from the individual, from their status, from their power, to what are they providing for you. And this, again, refocuses the individual receiving the service, which is the patient or the consumer, on, wait, what do I want out of this interaction? And then you can focus on, am I getting what I want out of this interaction? What am I paying for? How much am I paying? What am I getting for my payment? So now, that discussion never takes place. And because the discussion never takes place, patients receive a lot of care that is of no use, and that is dangerous and even deadly. So by becoming a consumer, by paying out of pocket, people actually will not be able to afford a lot of care, most of which is dangerous and useless.
Dr. Daniels, what you're sharing is an entirely new concept to many of us. So what happens when you go in with cash, which the doctor, the physician, is very happy to see because he doesn't have to wait on...
No. first you start with cash. So first you have a pile of cash, all right? Now you have an affliction. So now you got a decision to make. Am I even going to go in? You can say, I'm not even going to go in. I'm going to stay home, wait it out. Most things will go away if you just stay home and wait. So by assuming you go in with cash, you've already truncated 50% of the aspect of being a consumer. Number one aspect of being a consumer is deciding whether or not to consume.
Okay, so someone comes back to you and says, well, look, men are reluctant to go to doctors, and all you're doing is adding to the mindset maybe of some women who might in turn be reluctant to go to doctors. When I say that reluctant, I'm talking about delay.
Someone criticizes me for encouraging this reluctance?
No. Follow me. The question is not a criticism. I'm not even projecting a criticism. I'm saying someone comes back when they hear the concept. They say what I just said, and now this cash thing is going to lead to women delaying going to the doctor because they're taking on the mind of a consumer. Your response? Oh, wow, I got a call coming in. Just hold on a second. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. There's another. Can you hear me? Okay. Working the Skype. Doc, can you hear me?
Now I can, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. There was a call coming in on my phone, and that broke my connection with you.
Okay.
Yeah, so just continue with
So people say that what I'm saying is encouraging reluctance to consume medical care. Is that what you're saying?
no, delay. You know, like men do not, according to what is said, men go to the doctor or for medical care later than women do. Women are more medically conscious and they'll go. So when you lay out the scenario of paying cash, if the women buy into that as a consumer, they are going to delay. Now, it doesn't mean delaying is going to be bad for them. It's just that that's going to be a response on the part of some people.
That's okay. It should be. It's going to save a lot of lives.
Okay. Okay, let me jump to
So
this.
every time that doctors have gone on strike, every time that hospitals have shut down, the death rate has dropped in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
any delay is good.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, what, because this is a table discussion, what led you, what precipitated or enabled you to formulate this particular strategy? Your assessment of doctor care not being exactly what it should be. You know, play that one out for us.
Okay, so I think again, the question you ask has a false premise of doctors not being what they should be or could be. Doctors are nothing more than a mouthpiece for the hospital, the drug companies, and the government. That's all they are. And to see them as anything else is delusional. That's all they are. Every information your doctor has on what to do and how to do it comes from the government, the drug companies, hospitals, insurance companies, and a lot of this information, or very little of this information, if any, is developed on research showing patient benefit.
Okay.
So your doctor, just like the policeman, is not there for your benefit. And anything you say or do in a doctor's office can and will be used against you. So, what prompted me to really look into this was when I realized from my own research, going through government documents and such, that the medical industrial complex, through physicians as the entering portal, were responsible for the death of about 880,000 Americans a year. I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of killing. And then the industry itself has said, we believe that we're killing about 300,000 Americans a year. Whoa. Even if you take my estimate of the number one cause of death in the United States, but even if you just take their estimate, they are the number 3 cause of death in the United States. This is their own admission.
Yes, ma'am.
And there are people out there who don't want AIDS. They're going to use condoms because they don't want to get AIDS. Well, AIDS only kills at most 14,000 people a year, and that's if you didn't believe it exists, but we'll believe that. Well, the medical industrial complex says we kill 300,000 people a year. Don't you think you should take some steps to avoid a cause of death that kills 300,000 people a year? Don't you think you should take steps to avoid the third leading cause of death?
Okay, yes, ma'am. Continue. Once again, we have a round table. Do we have a question?
Okay, how are you, Dr. Daniels?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, I'm Esther Hyatt, part of the round table. You stated that, what do we call a physician? And I missed some of those points, and I want to hear it again.
A provider. So they want you to call. So now in the medical industrial complex, when I went to medical school back in 1979, the doctors were in control, more or less, of the day-to-day life and of the medical industrial complex. The drug companies and insurance companies were kind of behind the scenes and kind of grappling for power, but the doctors were still pretty much in control. What has happened since from 1979 to today is right now the doctors have clearly totally lost control. They are now subordinate to the insurance companies. So the insurance companies are taking over the whole conversation. They're saying, hey, you guys are not physicians anymore, you're providers. And what this does is it allows the insurance companies / business people to say, okay, we've got this doctor who would be earning, say, $200,000 or $500,000 a year, whatever. We're going to replace him with a provider that we're going to pay $40,000 a year. So once they can rename the doctor as a provider, they can substitute any warm body for that position. And then the focus then becomes on what's being provided, not on who's providing it. So it can be provided by a high school dropout or a high school grad or something. And you look at most of what your doctor does, and it's fairly simple and non-technical. But the point being, if you're a consumer and you're going to see a provider, then your focus is going to be, what am I being provided? What am I getting out of this? And most people who die at the hands of the medical industrial complex, who die or who are mutilated or harmed, is because they failed to ask that one question. But if you see yourself as a consumer, the first question you're going to ask is, what am I consuming? What am I paying? Is it worth it? And just that one step of inquiry would save so many lives.
Yeah.
So what happens in the substitution of provider for physician, if you go in and don't ask questions, and you just see that person in that white jacket, whatever, male, female, doesn't matter, and they're providing what was said, you said, I'm here for whatever.
Let's back up. So if you're a consumer and you're going to see a provider, what you're going to ask yourself, what am I getting out of this? Okay, I'm getting my blood pressure treated. Whoa. How is getting my blood pressure treated going to benefit me? And then shoulder shrug, well, it might prevent one non-deadly heart attack after 100 years if you're taking it. Well, forget that, I'm out of here. So, again, people don't even ask the question. They don't even ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
How's this going to impact my life? Am I going to live longer if I take blood pressure medicines? And any doctor will tell you, look you straight in the eye and tell you no, because that's the truth. The doctors have been told that in medical school. Treating hypertension does not help anyone live a day longer. And they have checked this out, they've done research, and you know how they slant the research. And they have not been able to show a study saying that people who get their blood pressure treated and take medications live longer. So that's just not the case. Another area, prenatal care. Lady, if she's a consumer, she's paying out of pocket, she's gonna say, is my baby gonna be smarter? Is he gonna be bigger? Is he gonna be fatter? Is he gonna be healthier? The answer? No.
Regarding that area.
Again, people are not consumers, they're patients. So you don't even ask the simple question that you would ask if you were gonna buy a pair of jeans. You're gonna buy a pair of jeans, you wanna know, is it gonna make me look better? Am I gonna get the guy? Am I gonna get the job? Am I gonna have more fun?
Yeah.
You should be asking the same questions about your health care.
You know, doctor, they have throughout New York these centers that are coming up called medical/rehabilitation centers. There are a lot of names for them. And what I see them as centers for administering drugs. Patients.
I mean, if you have an addiction, you go to those centers.
Yes.
I see.
If you have an addiction, or if you have post-traumatic stress, that's a big one. If you have any kind of ailment, as you see it, you're sent to these centers. And
Who sent you?
who sends you? Oftentimes, let me think. I would imagine they've heard about it. A lot of men have been hurt on the job and they suffer pain, you know, especially construction workers. I'm giving you an example. And there's this new area called pain management. So they go into these centers to get their pain managed. And they're given various drugs. You follow me?
Right, Matt, I wonder what your question is.
Okay, Mike, I was just wondering if, you know, when you were talking, this is the question, when you were sharing with us this whole medical industrial complex being such a deadly thing, I agree with you. And I'm saying, my question is, are you familiar with some of these centers that service individuals? And they go in not as a consumer, but they go in to see what the provider can provide for them. That makes sense? I don't know if
Okay, so again, the problem is they are not a consumer and they're not seeing a provider.
Okay.
So they are not going there with cash in hand saying,
Right.
how much is it going to cost for your service and what are you going to do for me? How's this service going to help me?
Right.
That's the problem. The problem is they're going in there as a patient. Maybe they have their insurance, which they believe is covering the visit, and then the person they're seeing is, maybe they're providing something, but the thing they're providing to the consumer the service, which is the insurance company or the employer. So that center is an exact example of what the problem is. The problem is the patient is not informed, number one, is not deciding, number two, and number three is not paying.
Not informed, not deciding, and not paying.
Right. So
Got it.
the patient would go, let's say the patient has a fistful of cash. He can either make his house payment or he can go to this center and pay them to relieve his pain so he can get back to work. That's in his mind what he thinks is going on. So he can go there and say, I got this fistful of cash. If I give you this fistful of cash, will my pain go away so I can go back to work? And the person will tell him straight up, no, we have not relieved pain at all in the 20 years we've been here, and we ain't starting with you. And then he would take his money home and go make the house payment. But now what's happening is he is scraping to make the insurance payment every month, and it's draining him. And then when it comes time to hand handle a medical issue, he's cash poor, insurance company's cash rich, and the insurance company is calling the shots. He's not the consumer. So he goes there to this so-called provider that's providing a service to the insurance company. That's what they have the contract with. They don't have a contract with him. And they end up giving him pain medicines that ultimately get him hooked on heroin, and then he becomes an overdose statistic. That's how that works.
So true. So you say the patient is not informed, and
Right.
he's not. What were the other 2 points you made?
He's not deciding and he's not paying.
Okay.
So the information is, and people don't even ask for it, which is, Doc, when you get through treating me, am I going to be able to go back to work and take care of my family? The answer is no. No. How you felt yesterday is the best you're ever going to feel once I get my hands onto you.
Yeah.
But again, people don't ask that question. Give me an example. So my mother, 87 years old, she developed an ulcer in her leg. And so I sat down with her and told her there's no medical treatment for an ulcer. Medical treatment does not make ulcers go away. And so don't you go to those doctors, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so off to Panama I go. And, and I'm going to check with her. How you doing? Well, I want to see you, doctor. Oh, okay, I'm almost harmless, so I'm thinking. Well, doesn't she end up submitting to graft bypass surgery on her leg to heal the ulcer? Well, of course, the ulcer gets bigger, she gets more of them, the leg practically amputates itself. Then I get a phone call, well, I don't think my doctor's doing the right thing. Really, Mom, what happened? Well, I get the details bit by bit. But she did not ask prior to the surgery. She didn't ask, is this going to get rid of my ulcer? The answer would have been no. It has never got rid of anyone else's ulcer. It's not going to get rid of your ulcer. It's just the next step we doctors do. So, out of the clutches of those doctors, sent her to a doctor that I knew from years ago, and he was a surgeon who made his whole fortune doing this kind of surgery. And he said to her, I'm sad to say, but this surgery never works. These ulcers, especially in older people, never, ever heal. So, definitely no more surgery. But because she did not approach it as a consumer, she had excellent insurance. She was very proud. She had excellent insurance. They would pay for it. But even though she had excellent insurance, she had to pay $6,000 for this thing. By the time to get through with her deductible, her copay, transportation back and forth, all kinds of ancillary expenses, bandages, blah, 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 she was out $6,000 in the space of a year. And this is what happens when the patient is not the consumer. Patient goes in thinking they have insurance, thinking it's covered, and before you know it, they're out $6,000 out of their pocket. Say nothing of what the insurance did or did not pay. But if people went into it saying, hey, this is my cash, this is my money, I'm making a decision, they would ask up front, how much is this going to cost? I want you to give me a quote, just like you ask a car dealer. Hey, I want a car, I want air conditioning, I want a radio, I want 4 doors that lock and close. What's it going to cost? He'll give you a quote. People will actually start asking doctors and hospitals, I want a quote. I want a flat price. You tell me what this is going to cost. I don't care what the complications may or may not be. I want a price. I don't want you to tell me it's $5,000. I get a complication, and you end up treating the complications you caused and making it $25,000. So again, people simply approached it as a consumer. The price that you would negotiate, this flat price, is probably going to be less than what your copay and what your insurance would have been. An example of that is way back when, 1970 something, people would pay the doctor $20 and that was it. That was the whole visit, right? Now, fast forward to 2018, the patient pays insurance every month anywhere from $500 to some people $4,000, a month. It's a lot of money. They're paying for insurance, and when they see a doctor, what do they pay? $20 copay, at least. So what's happened in these years with health insurance is you've just introduced a layer of payment, and the person's payment to the doctor is still the same as it was before insurance.
Doc, going back to the ulcer and the physician saying these kind of ulcers in older people doesn't heal, would you explain what the ulcer is and how come it wouldn't heal from their perspective, and what can and should be done from the consumer perspective. And I'm talking about somebody who knows, just heard this, let's
No,
say,
consumer is the person got a wad of cash in their pocket and they're making a decision, how am I going to treat my ulcer? That's the ideal situation to be in.
okay,
So mom had this ulcer to start out with the size of a dime. When they got through with her, that ulcer was not one ulcer, it was 6 different ulcers, each one the size of a dollar bill.
dang,
Exactly. And the first thing we did was fire her doctors. Doctors not to touch the wound. So that initiated the healing within a week.
wow,
The wound started closing up, started improving. Then the next thing we did was they had to change her diet and give her some ham hocks, give her some connective tissue to eat, and now all of the ulcers have healed except one, and that one ulcer is 1 inch by 2 inches.
What does the ham?
And that solution cost her a fraction
Yeah.
of her copay, deductible, blah, 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 that she would have to pay for the surgery. The doctor wanted to do another surgery. Oh, the graft is blocked. We need to do surgery again to put in another graft, but your graft is blocked. And my mother got her on the road to healing, right? She says, well, what do I have to do about the blocked graft? I said, Mom, you never needed the graft in the first place. It wasn't doing anything anyway. If it's blocked or not, it doesn't matter. But again, if you have a consumer mindset, it's what am I paying? What am I getting? But people are not even asking, what am I getting? Or they don't even ask themselves, what do I want? The thing is, you have this ulcer, right? I want this ulcer to go away and get healed. Will this ulcer heal, doctor? And can I get a refund if it doesn't? I'm paying cash. They will tell you, keep your money.
wow.
But again, that would save mom not only the $6,000 or $7,000 in co-pays and deductibles, but she was laid up in a wheelchair, couldn't do anything for weeks because they cut one leg open to get the graft to put in the bad leg. So now the good leg didn't work, the bad one never did.
Man,
So she lost at 80-something years old. She lost good 3 months of her life. And at that point in your life, you don't have much left. Losing 3 months is a pretty big chunk.
okay, you had a question?
Yeah. It wasn't really a necessary question. I just wondered what the ham hocks would have done to.
The ham hocks are covered with skin. You eat that skin, it gives you the building blocks you need to repair your skin.
Okay,
Gotcha.
okay. What did you call it? Tissue, you followed connective tissue, food or something?
Right, connective tissue. That's the skin part of the ham hocks, the fat of the ham hocks. The ham hocks also have tendons deep in them.
What is collagen?
Can you spell it?
I'm seeing a word.
Maybe it's collagen?
Collagen. That's
So
what
collagen is an element of skin and an element of connective tissue.
And it's sold over the counter as a health.
Oh,
element.
okay. So that they take this animal skin and tendons, they boil it up and boil it up and boil it up, and then they throw in all the solid part, and then they dry it down into a powder, grind it up and sell it to you.
Okay.
To say that it's processed would be an understatement.
So if you eat ham hocks and what about chicken feet? Didn't you mention chicken feet in one of your?
Yeah, chicken feet are good too. But the ham hocks, that's why black women don't have wrinkles, because they eat their ham hocks. Now, these younger, educated black women don't eat their ham hocks because they're liberated, they're free, equal rights and all that stuff. They've got wrinkles.
I
They look
remember.
like any white lady. Their skin is like any white lady's skin.
I remember chicken feet growing up. My mother would take the chicken feet and sort of burn off the skin. I don't know. It goes way back.
Right, but then what happened? She said, I want young kids to go get an education so you don't have to eat no more chicken feet. And so here, the very food that gave you beautiful skin, the very food that gave you strong bones, not any way they can.
They're working in home care anyway, helping somebody else.
Well, I'm just saying, at the end of their life, they're 82, 83 years old, you know.
Okay.
They're still pitching it.
All right, so we're going to shift to prostate. How prostate cancer became a disease, which is a presentation that you have that I saw on YouTube, but I think you did one this year on your regular broadcast. But whatever, launch into it, how prostate cancer became a disease.
So I first became familiar with prostate cancer in about 1974. I was in high school, and I was interested in becoming a doctor. And so they had us, go to medical school and, visit the professors. And they even did a little mock class for us. We were teenagers in this medical explorers post. And so, of course, who better to talk to teenagers than the lowest status guy who's getting no pay and has nothing better to do because he's practically out of a job. So the guy that talked to us was the prostate cancer research person. And he told us all about prostate cancer. We didn't even know what a prostate was. By the end of the talk, we figured out it was something that guys have. But he explained to us prostate cancer is not deadly. People who have prostate cancer generally live longer than people who do not have it. And people who have prostate cancer generally die of something else, maybe a car accident or something else. And so many people feel you should not treat prostate cancer. Hence, here I am at the medical school. I get paid the lowest amount of money. I have no grant research money, nothing. Isn't it terrible? I need more money. I need more stats. We need to start treating prostate cancer for the disease that it is. Of course, to me as a teenager, this is very confusing. If people are living a long time with it, then what's the problem? But it's a disease because you look under the microscope, see those cells? They don't look normal. All right, we gotta do something. So then what happened was they developed a test, a blood test. This is in the 80s, prostate-specific antigen test. Okay, so now we have a blood test. We can screen people for it. Before that, they had the alkaline phosphatase test, which is a very bad test because it was positive for anything and everything. And so once you did that test, you're then on a trail to just test, and never ever got anywhere. But the prostate-specific antigen test, they had a great marketing title that it was specific to the prostate and it was an antigen. And so this got a lot of emotional momentum behind it. So we started testing everyone for it, doing prostate biopsies, and then ultimately now we have surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation therapy for prostate cancer. And that's essentially how it became a disease. And then once they got the test, the prostate-specific antigen test, they're a massive marketing campaign aimed not only at doctors, but at patients. So I'd have patients come into my office and say, I want that prostate test. I want the test for my prostate. And I try to explain to them, well, if we find something wrong, there is no medical intervention. It's going to leave you better off. And so once you have surgery for your prostate, you become impotent, you pee in your pants, and, things just generally go from bad to worse. Or, even worse, they go from healthy to worse. A lot of people with prostate cancer diagnosis have no symptoms at all. They feel perfectly fine. And so what they've found is the therapy for prostate cancer, while it may prevent the spread of disease, actually makes the person feel worse. So if you have prostate cancer and it spreads to your bones, for example, many people live quite well with prostate cancer of the bones. It's spread to all kinds of places. And they have a great quality of life and length of life. So what has happened then is by creating a test for this and marketing, they've got a whole generation of men who have submitted to castration, and they even call it castration, and mutilation. And now what's happening is the pendulum is swinging back because a lot of people who were wealthy and important were castrated. And they're like, what? You mean you took out my bones and there's no benefit to me? So now they're debating whether they should reclassify prostate cancer as the harmless condition that it is.
Talk, for the audience, talk about how they do a biopsy and talk about that procedure and what's involved
Right, I mean for a prostate biopsy?
Yes, ma'am.
So essentially the guy is big time sodomized. All his equipment is put up his butt, and a needle passes through from the colon or the rectum through the lining of the rectum into the prostate where they get samples. Now obviously bacteria are tracked into the prostate from the rectum, obviously. And even more obviously, the capsule of the prostate is pierced. And this actually allows and facilitates the spread of the cancer to the rest of the body. So a prostate biopsy, especially if you have prostate cancer, is not what you want to do because it causes problems. There are people who get prostate biopsies and they die from the biopsy, from the infections, the complication of the biopsy. You can imagine you take poo from the intestine and spread it into the prostate and around with this needle, it's not a pretty sight. So the biopsy is more deadly than the disease.
And when they go in, what I understand is that when they go in, they just don't take one piece, they hit it a couple of times and then
they don't hit it and quit it, man. They go boom, 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 boom. They're called core biopsies, and they bore a hole in several places. And when I was in medical practice, a guy would say, well, I'm going to go get my prostate biopsy. I'm like, oh no, because I know he's going to get biopsy, he's going to have an infection, he's going to come back to me to treat the infection, the specialist cause of the biopsies. Very annoying.
When they developed this new profit center, from the black experience, it appears that they were putting a lot of focus on getting black men to get these tests. Initially with the what is it, the pH test or the, go through that.
The prostate specific antigen test, the PSA test.
Right. I mean, this is upon reflection now that black men.
Well, they already had the white guys corralled in the system. So you always look for where you can have market growth. So the market penetration or percent of black males participating in this whole ordeal was very low. So that was a big economic opportunity. This is also why we need to have the civil rights movement. Before the civil rights movement, blacks had an intense suspicion of doctors.
Say that again.
The civil rights movement,
Wait a minute.
black doctors educated. The black men and women would accept poison from a black doctor that they would not accept from a white doctor.
Wait a minute, go over that,
the
Doc.
civil rights movement, you asked me,
Doc,
was
Doc.
a staged operation to be able to better economically exploit blacks.
I'm sorry, Doc, for interrupting you. Go over that piece again. Where you?
All right. So I grew up in the ghetto. In the ghetto, when I grew up in the 60s, everybody owned their own home. All the blacks owned their own home, mortgage free, or the mortgage was so small you could make rent or the mortgage payment and the insurance property tax payment rather on less than a week's pay. It was a pittance. Living in the ghetto was extremely cheap. Now that same neighborhood, because of the civil rights movement, because now the banks are giving out loans, people have unaffordable mortgages, they're losing their homes are vacant. Why? Now, in order to have a house, you have to pay 3 times the price of the house over the life of the house. And, people are in an unaffordable situation. Why? Because they equal rights. Because the banks are making loans. Whereas before, you couldn't sell a house in that neighborhood for anything more than a down payment. In other words, any more than the cash in your hand, that's all you can sell a house for, $5,000 or $10,000. But now, that same ghetto, same decrepit houses, they're selling for, $30,000, $60,000, and it's just unaffordable.
Okay.
And so, similarly, with healthcare, and blacks, it was no secret. When I was a kid, they said, you better not go to that white doctor. He is going to kill you. He's going to pump you full of drugs. They're worse than those drugs in the street. And that was the posture in the neighborhood. Then, civil rights, boom. Oh, no, that doctor can't discriminate. He's going to give you the same good medicine he gives the white people.
Wow.
What they didn't tell you was the medicine the white folks are getting poisonous and dangerous. And nothing anybody should envy or desire. And so what this did, it's got a whole generation of blacks hooked on doctoring and drugs, and at the same time destroy their health and impoverish them.
You know, I sometimes wonder, do the doctors really know this? You know?
Yes and no. So in medical school, we're told everything I've told you. We're told there's a but wait. More research is coming. We're gonna have better answers for you in any minute now. We're gonna have better answers because research is out there being done. But until the research is done, we have to do this, which is not optimal, but things are gonna get better. And of course, that allows the medical student to feel kind of uneasy, but okay. And then we're told the government protects you because you don't fall under the regular laws of criminality. When you kill somebody or when you mutilate them, you don't get prosecuted for assault or homicide. Oh, no. It's a simple matter of malpractice, and another company pays out some money on your behalf, and you continue to earn your income. And this is a special privilege the government has given to you because the work that you do is so important. And so the medical student during his training
Hold on a second. Doc, can you hear me? Wait a minute. Doc? Dr. Daniels? Dr. Daniels?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay, that was another call coming through. Where did we blank off at?
The last thing she was saying,
Okay,
I didn't get it.
all right. So just in terms of the prostate, man,
That's incredible.
the
The prostate biopsy, you know, when you spell that out, it just seemed, oh God, almost demonic.
now biopsies were being done
Yeah.
based on the
PSA,
the PSA and
blood test.
on sometimes on one, and then they began to say, well, the PSA changes, so before we do a biopsy, we recommend that you get a PSA 2 weeks from now, or whatever the case is, so that we can see what the average is.
Right, that just triples the bill, right? Now we're just doing more PSAs. We're going to do the biopsy. So we just do more testing before we do the biopsy. Again, it just pads the bill. Now, the doctor's not the one padding this bill. He's not making this up. This is the standard of care, which is put forth. They tell the doctor, okay, we have enough men suckered in. Let's see if we can get these guys to go for 2 or 3 blood tests and then the biopsy. And so you're just increasing the total amount of money generated. And of course, the doctor, this is in his favor because he gets to charge for an office visit each time the person shows up for the second and third or whatever PSA test.
Man, that's deep. Okay, so because of time, and this program for the audience is just to give you exposure to Dr. Jennifer Daniels like an appetizer. When you do research, your own research, and go to her website, vitalitycapsules.com, you'll have the opportunity of plugging into previous presentations that she's made, which are extremely important for every member of the family, and it just makes for a much more knowledgeable consumer. That the prostate recommendations that you made at the end of the July 2013 presentation that I saw and heard on YouTube, on Google, what are your recommendations today, and explain what the Kegel exercise is.
So Kegel exercises are irrelevant to all this. Just forget that. So as far as men's prostate is concerned, the prostate situation is created by eating dairy and by being constipated. That's pretty straightforward. and processed foods. So you need to change your diet, really change your diet, increase the amount of bowel movements you have, and turpentine is also very helpful. So if you go to my website, vitalitycapsules.com, you can download the report, it's free, and it tells you the diet to follow and all about turpentine, everything. And that is extremely effective for men who have prostate problems.
Fantastic. Going back a ways in our discussion, you mentioned pregnant women, and there is this statistic about the mortality rate of black mothers after
Black
having...
mothers, white mothers. It doesn't even matter what color you are. If you get prenatal care, your chance of dying in childbirth as a woman increased sixfold.
If you get prenatal care.
If you, as a result of prenatal care, let's be clear. And as for your baby's chances of dying, called infant mortality, are in no way improved by prenatal care. You can even Google the benefits of prenatal care, scientific studies, and they start off by saying, well, we'd hoped to see benefit, but we couldn't see any benefit in this study, but we just have to keep doing prenatal care because we know it's got to be beneficial, because how could it not be? Even though their own study shows no benefit.
Now, the mortality rate is higher in the U.S. than it is in
Third world countries. In third world countries, maternal death rate is less than the United States.
we're talking about...
And that's why these movie stars were going overseas to have their babies.
Dang.
Well, we see what happened with Serena. She almost died.
Yeah.
Serena Williams. I don't know.
Yeah,
if-
it was a result of her medical care, totally.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, had she been a poor woman who just sat at home, waited for the baby to fall out, it would have been so much better.
You know, I remember the first time I heard of you was at the wisdom table. I guess that was a couple of years ago. And, you know, I always say, you know, I'm a believer. You know, if you're telling me something that benefits me, and I'm at a point where I might want to see a doctor, I will go to Panama or wherever. I mean, you know.
Go to my website, sign up for an appointment. There you go.
Listen, I remember a gentleman, he owned a beauty salon. Lovely young black man. And he was doing quite well. He lived in Brooklyn and his salon was in the 50s in New York. And, you know, he had about 20 people in there. He wasn't a beautician, he was the businessman. So what happened was, I heard this story about curing, maybe curing is not the correct word, but treatment of AIDS. And it was written up in the Village paper, Village Voice, or one of those papers. And this white woman was talking about how her son, she took her son to Kenya, and he survived AIDS, he's thriving, he's doing all the good things that he was unable to do when he contracted AIDS. So this young man was talking to me, and he told me to come down to his office in the salon now, back to the salon. And he said, this is what I have to do. It was a cocktail in order to keep.
It costs like $30,000 a month.
Well, I don't know what he was doing, to be honest with you, but I said, well, look, you know what? I heard about this treatment in Kenya, and people are thriving, you know. They're not laying out, not moving, they're eating properly, they're eating well, they want to have sex. You know, I said, you know, maybe you should think about going to Kenya. You know what he said to me?
What?
Well, how much is that going to cost to fly there?
Exactly, because he was not paying out of pocket for these drugs. If he was, he'd tell you, I'm on my way.
Okay.
So he was not in a consumer's space where he was paying cash for his medical care and experienced the full cost of it. If he was, he would look at what his outlay was every month of $10,000 to $30,000 and say, well, I'm on the next plane to Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
But because people are protected from or concealed from the true cost of their medical involvement, they don't see it. Like in New York State, there, a portion of half of your state income tax is going to pay for the healthcare system. About half of your property tax is going to pay for the healthcare system. Your sales tax is going to pay for the healthcare system. Then you've got Social Security, Medicare taxes out of your revenue. So you see, this system is an incredible burden, economic burden. And then you're paying health insurance premiums. So literally, at least 25% of your income, you add up all these different taxes. And then the federal taxes, part of that's going for healthcare. So you add up all of these things, and this healthcare system is itself the cause of poverty.
Before we leave, in terms of Africa, ibogaine or abogaine is the drug, or not drug, but the herb that at one point was said to cure drug addiction overnight. You have any insight on that?
Okay, so ibogaine, there's a couple things to look at. First of all, ibogaine itself is potentially deadly, so you can die of it. And again, the word is potentially overnight, so not everyone gets the anti-addiction effect from it. But if you want to go a little further downstream, how do people get hooked on heroin? Actually go to their doctor, they get Oxycontin, which is just heroin in a capsule. And then the doctor stops writing prescriptions, boom, they're a heroin addict. They're addicted to heroin, and they go to the streets to get it.
That's right.
So the best thing you can do is not go to any of these pain management centers for your pain, because all it's going to do is turn you into a heroin addict.
That's right.
So the ibogaine is leave that right in Africa. That's what you're saying.
I would leave it right wherever it is. It was in Central America for a while there.
Okay. All right. In summing up, foods that are good for us that the general consumer public doesn't realize that should be considered for our food intake during the course of a week.
Calf liver. That would be numero uno, calf liver. If people would eat that, there's a lot of illness and disease, pain, fatigue, just wouldn't even happen.
Calf liver.
Calf's liver. Calf.
You like the calf?
Calf.
Baby calf?
Yeah. Calf's liver.
I got it.
Yeah.
And you cook it like liver?
Yeah, salt, pepper, liver, onions. You can bread it if you want with white flour and fry it.
Hey, Dr. Daniel say, hook it up in the usual way.
Okay, proceed. What else?
There are a lot of foods, but the most important thing to understand and get a grip on is the healthiest foods are the ones that grow right where you live. So put a dot in the map where you live, make a circle 100 miles wide. Anything growing in that area is pretty much good to eat. And so in other words, eliminate all of your foods that come from overseas. You know, you shouldn't be living in New York eating tropical food.
Wow.
I hear you.
Wow.
So eat your blackberries, your blueberries, your mulberries, your strawberries. Eat those fruits that grow right where you live.
In New York, yeah.
When they say salmonella in papaya, how does that organism work? Is it
How does it get there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
How does it get there? There's two ways to get there. One, it could get there through fertilizing with manure, but usually the way it gets there is the papaya is shipped in a truck that was previously used for shipping meats, and it's cross-contamination.
Oh.
So
Ooh.
exclusively, 100% of all food poisoning in the United States occurs in food that crossed state lines. So if you live in New York, in any state, doesn't matter, and you refuse to eat any food that had to cross the state line to get to you, you're not going to get food poisoning.
Got it.
Oh, that is so important.
'Cause that's the way,
Everything is.
that's the way recalls are done. They'll say that such and such a company is recalling chopped meat or whatever, and you can see the distribution lines. Dr. Jennifer Daniels, we thank you for delivering a powerful set of information for us this afternoon on the wisdom table. And any last questions, Brother Stu?
I'm good.
Stu said he's done just like the cat's liver.
I'm very happy to hear about the berries being, you know, to know about strawberries that are planted and produced in New York.
Yeah, you can just go, and in New York State, there's so many wild berries. You just go pick the wild berries. I know as kids we used to.
Yeah. What about, doctor? What about prunes? I've been
So
using.
prunes are plums, and plums do grow in New York State.
Okay. And I just have
In
to.
fact, what we used to do when I was a kid, Mom would buy a whole bushel of plums, and we would stew them up and bottle them, and we'd eat them all year long. These canned plums/prunes.
And you know, okay, I'm a believer. I hope you can come on again soon. And you know, we take a lot of your time, but it's most appreciative. And I go home and I start living differently. You know, I will look at the containers of these prunes, and where I will look to see where they come from.
Foods within 100.
Yeah, and again, you live right there in New York, and these things grow right in New York. In fact, I had a plum tree right in my backyard. You can plant a plum tree for $15 right in your backyard and give you all the plums you want.
Wow. This is the last question. How important is it to the consumer to have like a window box? They're in an apartment, but they can grow some tomatoes and string beans. How important is that from your perspective?
So all of the problems with food stem from having food that someone else grew and someone else processed. So the more of your food that you can grow and process, the healthier you're going to be. In other words, you're not going to need health insurance because you're not going to be sick. So if you're in an apartment, maybe you don't even have a window box. Start sprouting stuff. You can sprout stuff under your bed, in your closet, anywhere.
Yeah, in your kitchen.
Dr. Jennifer Daniels, I'll be contacting you approximately 3:30 this afternoon for Books That Matter, People Who Matter cable show that we tape.
All right, wonderful.
And God bless you and your family. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. It's my
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. You know, allow her to see it.
Okay.